This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
This is Everything Elite, the world's best podcast devoted exclusively to all elite wrestling and the elite extended universe. I'm AB, joined as always by a man I guess I'm not going to Lollapalooza with. It's Nate, aka Epitasis. What's up, Nate?
Yeah, I guess not. I assume it's sold out. It usually sells out instantaneously. And just didn't, needed a big drawing name on top. You got to have a drawing match. You got to have the big thing that lights a fire in your soul. It's like, I have to go to this. I have to sit at the computer so I can buy $400 tickets precisely the second they go on sale. There just wasn't that on the Lollapalooza card.
Yeah, I was like pre-talked into it, although on the basis that, I think there was some rumor that Blackpink would be there, pre-COVID. But yeah, the lineup pretty underwhelming, other than, of course, Limp Bizkit. When I heard that Limp Bizkit was on it, I was like, I'm fucking going, but there just wasn't really anybody else on it that I cared about.
No, yeah. It's Limp Bizkit definitely was there are other acts down there that I like and I listen to, but also, like, we're not young college students anymore. So, like, going outside and spending all day with all of the, Chicago teens in the hot sun for 4 days is a lot to ask for to see Limp Bizkit and some other acts that I kind of like. It's really not, they say youth is wasted on the young. Money is wasted on the middle-aged to slightly, like, now I have the money where I can buy a Lollapalooza ticket and it's not like a massive investment like it was in college or whatever. But it's I have to, I have to work. I don't want to go to all that effort.
Yeah, I didn't mind buying the ticket, but then I was like, well, fuck, I'm going to have to, it's like a 5 or whatever hour drive. I'm going to have to get a hotel. It's like, by the time I do all this, it's going to be a big investment to mostly see bands I don't know.
Yeah. So. I'm very good at talking myself out of doing things.
Oh, yeah. Well, I respect that about you. And I like that. So I didn't get caught paying, $600 on a trip to see Limp Bizkit. Hopefully they'll just tour closer to me and that'll be good. Mike is also with us. Mike, are you planning to go to any summer tours or summer festivals this year?
Festivals, no. I'm way too old for that shit. I mean, like, it's something that, like, even, like, through my mid-20s, totally would have been down for it. And there's certain people that, like, they love that kind of stuff, and I just really enjoyed it. But now, like, I'm turning 35 in a month and a half. I'm just, like, thinking, like, okay, like, all of that you talked about, like, the money, like, the acts and all that. And then I know I have to get earplugs, and I'm just going to feel miserable for about a week and a half when I can just do perfectly well just making myself feel miserable at home.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't know if it's, just COVID, having to be inside or what, but I am just dying to go to a big festival with, like, big bands. But this didn't even hit that mark for me.
No, like, the number one headliner is Foo Fighters, who I have defended on this show and is probably the most popular, like, rock act right now because they, played at Gen Pop. But I've seen them, and even then it's like, yeah, I like Foo Fighters. I'll defend the Foo Fighters. I don't get fired up in my soul about seeing the Foo Fighters.
Right. It's like Megan Thee Stallion is on the top line. It's like, okay, that fulfills what I'm looking for in a big summer festival, but I needed like 4 more of those. Plus, some bands that I actually like. You throw all that in there and that would have been good.
Yeah, I do imagine. I mean, I didn't check, but I think probably those are all American artists. And
Yeah.
So they probably did have plans changed from the original bill. There's usually like these events, your Coachellas, your Lollapaloozas. What's the Bonnaroo? Is that the
Bonnaroo.
third
Yeah, I would
biggest
love to
one,
go
probably?
to Bonnaroo. Yeah.
Yeah, they usually have, one big fuck off headliner that's like a sort of once in a lifetime kind of event also. And that's just nothing is approaching that on here.
Yeah, like when Outkast reunited and did all the festivals and ended it with their big Dungeon Family show in Atlanta. Like, if Outkast was going to show back up, then I'd be like, all right, you know what? Like, yeah, that's kind of like one of those things about these festivals is like everyone's so itching to get out, but what's the real difference other than, like, as Nate said, like, it's probably really difficult getting international artists in here right now, but like, what's the difference between the lineup right now and the lineup in 2019? It just does not, other than like the ebbs of time. Like it just seems like how many times has Foo Fighters been at Lollapalooza? How many times like Perry Farrell's going to do a DJ set? Like,
well, that's part of the charm. Having Perry Farrell bring whatever his little vanity act on at Lollapalooza every year. That's part of the unique charm. I don't know. 2019, I haven't paid attention to it, and I don't know. Maybe Rage played it maybe 10 years ago when that was novel and Rage was not touring. But they do have like unique acts like Outkast, like you mentioned, Rage, Daft Punk when they did tours every 10 years, if that. And yeah, now it's just like,
Is Rage touring? Have I missed that? I feel like I've had tickets for 2 fucking years.
Yeah, they have re-announced dates. We have to rebuy our tickets for Chicago.
You have to rebuy your tickets?
Well, we got a refund.
Oh, I never got a refund.
Right. We got a refund, and that's going to work to our advantage because before they canceled the tour, they had announced the second Chicago date. So now there's better tickets available.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, well that's your festival lineup report. Nate and I will not be attending Lollapalooza. If anybody bought tickets because you're hoping to see us there, I apologize. I'll give you 1 free month of the Patreon.
I also did when I was like, I'm not stressing about tickets or whatever for this. I had it in the back of my mind, like, I don't know, the Riot Fest lineup kind of looks better.
Yeah, like
but
that was
then
the lineup.
I didn't have the knowledge that it was also, of course, already entirely sold out.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, like the Riot Fest lineup, I looked at that and I was like, okay, that's actually, I'm willing to like go through the pain for like a lot of that. But it's just something like now, and maybe it's something that, well, we've gone over how I had a weird background with like music and everything. Maybe it is that because of that, I don't put like higher stock into seeing like a band at a festival where like over the last year, like if I wanted to see an act, I could see it in the comfort of my own home. Maybe I'm like the wrong person to ever talk about these kind of things.
Yeah, I think if you're there's a fundamental difference, I think, in seeing a live concert versus watching a stream. It's a more dampened experience than watching a movie at home. But even then, I would rather see it in the theater.
Yeah, I was tired of live streams by like May tops of 2020. It's like, okay, that's good. I need to see some live music. I haven't seen any yet, so hopefully soon. Okay, we got a little show to do here, is what I've been told. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Everything AEW. We'll let you know what festivals we are going to go to. I'm at Aaron Light the Car. Nate's at Epitasis. Mike's at Fuji. Hey, subscribe to the podcast, whatever podcast app you use. You just type in Everything Elite, hit subscribe. You'll get these as soon as they come out on, well, sometimes it's Wednesday night, late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. If you use the Apple Podcast app, give us a 5-star rating and review. It's a great way for people to find out about the podcast if they don't know about it yet. And if you want to support the show, the best way to do so is go to patreon.com/Everything Elite. Big month, of course, with the pay-per-view. So we will be doing lots of content about that, including a live instant reaction show. The big news going on. We're going to, my good friend Aaron Talbot once told me, you got to lead with the news. And baby, we got news today. AEW announced that in January 2022, AEW Dynamite will move to TBS, where they will also be joined by AEW Rampage, a Friday night show. Of course, that's going to debut in August of this year. So it's a little confusing because that'll be on TNT, but then suddenly everything will move to TBS. at the beginning of 2022. Along with that, don't get too married to TBS because there will be 4 new annual specials. I don't really like the wording of that. 4 new supercards, so 4 per year on TNT starting in 2022. And I think that pretty much covers all the big news from the Warner upfronts today about AEW.
Yeah. We knew the third hour was coming, so it's nice to get a date for that, August. Now we have to figure out how we're going to talk about a fucking 4th AEW show on the podcast or something. I would probably said I liked Dynamite when they named the show Dynamite. I don't remember specifically if I was in favor of the name. I don't like the name Rampage. It makes me think of Rampage Jackson or Rampage World Tour. Don't care for it. And the TBS thing all sounds like positive news from the promotions end, from the making money end. They got probably some compensation in order to renegotiate what network they were on, what branch of Turner, WarnerMedia they were on. But I will miss the TNT brand. I think TNT is a better brand fit for AEW. It's hard to, it's kind of silly because it's just like whatever corporate logo you put on there, but it's the Nitro brand, it's the NBA brand, it's going to be the NHL brand. It just has that like sort of live, more exciting feeling. Whereas TBS, sure, it was the Superstation, sure, it has the history of old-timey professional wrestling and stuff on it. But when I think of TBS, I think of like Seinfeld reruns and Conan O'Brien, running from Jay Leno with his tail tucked between his legs.
The TBS, we got funny. I kept on thinking TBS, the comedy station for a while, and I completely butchered that tag line. I know.
Yeah, so it seems like the viewership is comparable. Seems like TBS has more viewership overall, but TNT has a younger viewership, but it's pretty negligible difference, and maybe AEW helps TBS out on that front. But yeah, when those specials roll around and they go back to TNT for them, and you just have the TNT logo and the bright lights and Tony Schiavone, it's going to be like, man, TNT is the vibrant brand of this brand network, brand family, of this Russo brand family.
It's something, and I've talked about this behind the paywall over lunchtime when everything was kind of coming in and making sense of it. It's really, I look at this as something that I've kind of harped on that no one else really ever talked about. AEW was never part of Warner Sports. It was always a part of TNT drama, and it seems like that TNT is going all in with the sports, with live sport content, and it seems like that TBS is going to be a place for their, for Dynamite, for their reruns, and for whatever original programming, which I did not realize that TNT had like these series that I saw commercials of tonight during Dynamite. So it seems like that's like that. It's something where I'll be interested to see how things really kind of go, because with the way that TBS is set up, like Conan's moving off of TBS, like that's happening before 2022. It kind of feels like with the way that they've kind of like approached this and the way that they said like, okay, this did not extend this deal apparently, but they got a huge chunk of money for it, that it seems like that they're going to make TBS into the AEW station in a way. And it seems like that's going to be like the big like bolstering pitch, because you'll have Dynamite, you'll have Rampage. So that's 3 hours that hopefully will be live each week, and that's something, bolsters ad rates, and it can trickle down. And I mean those Big Bang Theory reruns and the Friend reruns, like all of those, like
it's really hard to imagine these AEW bloodbaths like following Big Bang Theory reruns.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be very discordant in that regard. I think that, like, perception wise, it's something that like AEW is trying to turn the clock back to WTBS, the Superstation, the programming that put Ted Turner in a place where he could launch his media empire. Like we all have seen the documentaries and seen the interviews there. So it'll be interesting to see. I like the idea of the 4 supercards. I think that that's something that they kind of been doing on TV anyways, but now it's kind of cemented. There was a trademark that went through today that was Battle for the Belts, which seems a little bit too on the nose with Clash of the Champions, but it's something where I think that I think that other than like the whole like image thing of TNT and like the idea that like, Nate, as you laid out about it does seem like there's like a little bit of perception difference there, but I think TBS long term, it makes sense. And I mean, like everyone who was like, Tony Khan's good friend at the network left, the good thing network. How long have we been saying like WarnerMedia loves the Rhodes, especially Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes? Like, I mean, they're doing a reality show that's apparently not even a part of this deal. So it just seems like that it's a way that they're trying to get deeper into AEW, and it'll be interesting to see when that 2023 negotiation happens. A lot of things on Turner Media or Warner Media with the merger with Discovery Networks coming in, they've got to figure out a lot. Like that conglomerate is a whole lot of pieces that I don't know how they fit together, and they have like 6 different streaming networks. So something that I think that will be interesting. And yeah, we now have 4 shows a week going from like one like nice little 2-hour TV show. We're like, oh yeah, that's manageable. That seems like nice. And now it's 3 hours on TNT or TBS and quarterly supercards, quarterly pay-per-views. I assume they're still doing quarterly pay-per-views. And then whatever like 3 hours worth of YouTube like developmental matches they have each week. So it's a lot of stuff, but it's interesting. It's something that I didn't know today was the upfront stay until like everyone's like, oh, well, when like there was a scattering of you should be paying attention to the upfronts coming up here. Like I had no idea this was coming up this week.
I just looked back at the Roads to the Top press release, and it says TNT has ordered Roads to the Top. So I guess unless this is all going to change, I get the sense this all happened relatively quickly. With the,
I mean, well, they had
TBS.
I think had to secure the NHL deal and then figure out how to maneuver around that. The quarterly supercards is cool. I think 8 is a good number of big feature events to build for a wrestling promotion. 12 is definitely too many. I kind of think 4 is too few. So if you have 4 big ones and then 4 semi big ones, I think that's a good number. And then hopefully you get more sort of iterative dynamites. That's going to be my theme for the night, where you're, building on stuff and building stuff and fixing stuff and retconning and course correcting, and then really building to those 8 featured events in a more pointed way.
We just need more people to subscribe to the Patreon so we can expand our coverage team, I think, for all this this content.
I think so. Get some freelancers, get some stringers. Is that
like stat stringers?
Isn't that like an old timey journalism term? Like some guy would be a stringer, and he'd be like, in like old timey newsroom movies, somebody would go dial in their report from, whatever current event was going on. They'd go and dial the newsroom on the rotary public phone.
I only know that in relation to like, reporting the stats from like a baseball game or whatever.
That might be, maybe that's the same idea.
But I don't know much. Okay, but yeah, we'll see that. We'll be covering it all, of course, and we'll see how it goes. We have a fun little segment here real quick at the top because our friend...
In journalism, a stringer is a freelance journalist, photographer, or videographer who contributes on an ongoing basis, but is paid individually. So yeah, it's like a freelancer.
Okay, all right. Our friend, our supporter, our patron, Aaron Quinn, sent gifts to all 3 of us, and she can only be around for a little bit. So we said we would open them on the show, and she is around now. So we're going to do it now. Nate has already opened his. I had not warned him he was not to open it. That was my fault completely. But Mike and I have not opened ours yet. So I suppose we will do so now on the show. Yeah. Nate, you can talk to us a little bit as we do that.
Okay.
What other stringer stories do you have?
Well, I started to think about Stringer Bell. Mike, you have to work on opening your envelope too. You can't just talk to me.
I mean,
there you go. Yeah, but the fingers go in the envelope. And
I
you
mean,
rip.
The thing is that I have a
Rip.
cardioid microphone, so you're going to have to give play-by-play anyways because I'm not opening it directly under it.
That's fine. People that
Hold
will.
on, we've got a
All right.
note.
A piece of paper.
Oh,
and
I didn't
a
get
note.
Did I get a note? Oh, I did get a note.
Okay, I won't read the note. I mean, I feel like the note is probably personal.
Oh,
Right. You don't want a twice vlog series issue where Nayeon sent a letter to one of her members and then she started reading it and crying during the whole show. That'd be awkward.
Yeah, and you all don't want to know, that I'm Aaron's favorite host of the show. That'd be bad. So nobody needs that. I'll keep that to myself. But
This is
oh my fucking god! Holy shit! What I am looking at, friend.
Ooh,
is
Mike's
a-
has a different color on his than mine. The signature.
Well,
Mine's
this is
pink. I got pink.
I got white. I think
I got blue.
this is
which, I mean,
a signed Dion Saccone Frazier Topps card. Cute Boys Club. It says.
the back, his position is QB or CB, so I guess that is cute boy.
Yeah.
When Hanganui, New Zealand, you can look and you can't touch. Hey, congrats, you purchased a card, and it's a wonderful photo, by the way. It's very
It
alluring.
really is.
Well,
This is,
we should go get glamour shots done because that's what this photo is. It's Dion
Okay.
Saccone Frazier, and what I could best describe, at least on my card, is he looks like he's wearing a dry fit T-shirt and athletic shorts.
Oh, yeah, he is.
standing in a profile. I didn't know if everyone got the same card or if it was a different edition, and he's licking his lips and as he's staring sensuously into
Yeah, he's feeling
the
himself.
camera.
He's feeling
Yeah,
himself.
I gotta
guess
say,
that's-
I have gotten really good gifts from friends this year, like random wrestling related gifts from friends. Have I talked about on the show that Ogan sent me a vinyl version of the New Japan fan rap?
Yes, either on this show or on a Patreon show.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're still angry that you've never actually had videotape.
I
footage
will.
of
The
this.
sound was really bad when I tried to do it.
Mhm.
This card is amazing, Aaron. I love you. Thank you for your
Thank you
friendship.
so much. This rocks. I have it already put right next to my Himika and Konami.
I
check-ins.
I opened this the other day. I was walking, to my door and started opening the envelope, and then got the note, and then the card just like flipped out to the floor and landed face up, so he was looking up at me, and I burst out laughing. Just really brought me a lot of joy. Neither of you guys have broached the question: why does Dion Saccone Frazier have a Topps trading card in which he's a cute boy?
Well, I do know that he's gotten into the playing card game or the trading card game lately.
Yeah, he's a card boy now.
Okay, so this was old news to you guys.
Well, I didn't know that he had a card. I just know that he
I didn't know he had a
runs
He
card.
apparently is selling them these himself on the Facebook group for the
That's so
Major
good.
Wrestling Figures podcast.
Oh,
It's
okay.
so good. Some of us in 2021 have become cute card boys. Others of us have been looking at eBay for SNES cartridges that were from Japan.
That's right.
Or
We
Super
do
Famicom.
a lot of people getting into the action figure game recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting into the exorbitant K-pop prices for vinyl albums game. That's
How much is a LP?
well, I think the Rose one was probably like $45 for 2 tracks.
For 33?
Yeah.
Wow. I got.
Well, you have to understand, of course, K-pop, it comes with 13
Right, yeah.
additional items in there.
Hey, I'm a Yukika supporter. When I got her CDs, the amount of just like random like stickers and photos and shit they added in there is rather impressive.
So yeah, and that's I've seen that one. It's like a full open sort of booklet for the CD. Now for the vinyl, it's fucking a big box. That's what it is.
Well, speaking of big boxes, it's time for Elite or Delete.
Not one of your best.
I don't know, man. I thought about saying something crude and I just decided against it. So,
Thank you.
Nate, your favorite thing from the show this week?
What was my favorite thing from the show? I was halfway hoping that because we were going to talk about the TV news at the top, that we were going to do a one of these shows where we skip Elite or Delete and no one tells me.
Well, we can do that.
No,
if you guys
that's okay.
want.
I can come up with one. Here's my take on the show. Not a show with, all these big fucking high concept angles or, big props or big in-ring segments or, big betrayals and stable joinings and shiftings and all this stuff. Just a very solid iterative show where, in game design, Aaron, a good video game is often marked by having a lot of time to iterate on the game that you have. So you build the level and you build the mechanics and you build the story, and you lay those things out. And as you get the sort of critical elements of your video game there, then the more time you have to go back over them and iterate on them and, add additional content, add side content, add connections from one part of the game to the other part of the game, sort of the more complex and layered game or, experience you have. And this was a good one, I thought, where they didn't do a lot of big stuff. They just had good, solid segments that built guys, give guys good wins leading up to their big programs with people, or have guys out there, smart Mark Sterling, just like retconning the whole Jade Cargill thing that doesn't make any sense, and like, I'm going to do my best job of making this nonsense make sense. And that's good for pro wrestling. You're putting money in the bank. You're making a good foundation for telling these bigger stories that will land better. So on that point, I really like the Pinnacle segment on this show. I think this feud is basically the story of the Pinnacle, trying to go back to being violent superstar heels, and their attention with Chris Jericho, who wants to do his stupid WWE bullshit skits. And that's pretty much exactly what MJF keeps saying in his promos. And I think he's exactly right. And I think this Pinnacle segment, I mean, it's still fundamentally a backstage skit. It's a little, vignette. It's a little, produced feature on the show. It's not in the ring, but it just is so much better than the Inner Circle shit where they come out with a water hose and spray people down, or want to do, these debate segments and have goofy questions from Luchasaurus and this shit. You just got fucking Sean Spears being a scary, violent dude. You got Wardlow stealing the show without doing anything, as per usual. And it really worked for me. So I'm gonna say the Pinnacle was my elite pick.
I'll say that Wardlow made the segment. I completely agree with you on that. I felt like that him first in the foreground, like they weren't even doing background corpse, and they're like, you're going to do your thing, big dog. You're just going to do this in front of the camera and not just be in the background doing funny things. Just chugging a bottle of wine, then stealing Sean Spears' full dinner because Sean Spears flipped out was incredibly amusing. I thought that MJF's promo was, when he's focused and it's not like a 7-minute diatribe or political speech, he's effective promo. I think that it's something that I'll be very happy when they're back on the road and he gets back to doing like 90 seconds why this town's a piece of shit. Because I think that's actually like his best promo work, is those quick ones there. But, it was a lot less discordant and just like bizarre as the Inner Circle segment. So I totally understand like that. And Wardlow was very funny in this, and you had the fact that they definitely went to a Morton Steakhouse and it's like, hey, this company's obsessed with Morton Steakhouse, so we're going to be filming there now instead of doing it backstage.
One of the FTR guys tweeted a picture from it and was like, we're shoot rich, because they went to the steakhouse or whatever. It's like, dude, if you go to a restaurant where the decor on the wall is framed photos of a pier that they got at Bed Bath & Beyond, you're not eating at a rich person restaurant.
While we're here, I'll just go ahead and delete this segment. I hated it. I hated almost the whole episode, really.
Really?
Yeah. But this particular, it is indicative of a lot of their problems, which is just doing the same shit week after week, where it's like nothing really happens, nothing really changes. It's just, MJF has been doing this exact same thing for months at this point. So I'm just very bored of it. The Sean Spears thing I thought was cringe. He did cringe on TV. I hated that. It was funny that like FTR Bald is just droning on, and they're like, we're just going to do this Sean Spears thing now instead of letting you continue to talk. I thought that was good. But yeah, overall, I didn't like this episode, but I thought that this was, this and the Inner Circle thing, like their whole thing together, I thought was the worst part of the show.
Yeah, I don't. It is true that AEW has. I don't know. I don't feel like a problem of theirs has been that they keep doing the same thing over and over again. I think the thing that's been chafing me more recently is that they're just doing so fucking much all the time. And this was like this got like great characterization on this episode. Like, maybe my other favorite thing on the show is Anthony Ogogo just punching Austin Gunn in the gut like a few times. And it's like nothing really happened there. All we did was see Anthony Ogogo do the same thing that he's been doing on television and on Dark for however many weeks, but it just was executed so well that I'm like, yes, this is what this character should be. This is how you get that over to an audience of normies. And then when he gets to Cody, it'll be like, yes, now we're stepping up to a bigger event instead of everything running at 11 all the time. This was a nice episode that varied from 6 to 8 so we can fucking peak for the big stuff.
Well, Anthony Ogogo was my elite, so that's why I was going to try to jump in there, Nate. The reason why this rocked was this was the ideal of what a squash match should be. Austin Gunn was fantastic in this, holding up his end of the deal. He got his one big blast of offense, then he got socked in the stomach, and then he tried to fight out, and then he got socked in the stomach again. He started spitting up blood, and then he caught one to the dome. It ruled. Like, it was less than 5 minutes, and everything was accomplished there. It was very successful, and I just thought that this was really just completely successful in how they're portraying Ogogo, and just everything they've done with Anthony Ogogo has been truly exceptional. And the governor it's something where like you see how they've like kind of developed it, and it's something that he's already such a strong promo, and we've seen that he can be able to do something like this, and it's going to be real interesting to see where he develops. And again, Austin Gunn was awesome in this match. Like, did everything possible, had his hope moment, and then just ate shit as he should. And I thought that like most of the matches on the show actually were all genuinely enjoyable for one reason or another. But I thought like this was something that really stuck out to me, because how long has it been since you've seen like a really good squash match? Because we got two solid ones on the show and two completely different kinds of them.
I honestly, I think AEW's greatest squash matches, they just don't do them enough. I think almost every squash match that they do is good. But yeah, this was, I love that they didn't totally just kill Austin. Like, he had the flurry of offense at the beginning. And that's, I think that also plays into Anthony Ogogo's character well, because he shouldn't be a great a grappler with a lot of experience, wrestling guys and dealing with all these other maneuvers. He should be a guy who looks for his one spot, and when he hits the spot, it's fucking super damaging. And that's like the story in this match, and that's what happened, and that's why it was awesome. If I have a complaint, they didn't like Austin Gunn's super protected in AEW. They didn't really put over on commentary enough, like how his win-loss record and how he's it's not like he's an up-and-comer. Like, I mean, he is an up-and-comer in the reality of this promotion. In the kayfabe of this promotion, it's like, no, this guy fucking wins all the time. He should be a superstar right now. So they didn't do enough of that for my taste in commentary, but they also, gave him this sort of valiant babyface stuff where he's like, no, I'm not going down like in one gut punch like all the other guys. I'm not going down in two gut punches. I'm going to be, clawing at you the whole way. And all I really wanted from Anthony Ogogo's build was somebody spitting up blood or shit in their pants. So we got that. So I was very happy with it.
I'm looking at the roster page right now for everyone who is undefeated in their career in AEW, and this is the list, at least of men. I haven't got down to the women yet. It is Sting, Christian Cage, Anthony Ogogo, and Colton Gunn, all undefeated.
Yeah, he's got to get that. Colton Gunn cannot have a better record than Austin, for sure.
Jade Cargill is the only woman who's undefeated in AEW. I watched the Anthony Ogogo Piss Boy promo that was on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, this dude is like a huge fucking star. It's like he should kill everyone. They're doing a good job. It's like it's interesting. There's a few people that I think they've really done a great job with, like, slowly giving them to us in a way that makes them turn out to be bigger. Like Darby, for example, is like a guy that they could have easily, anybody, I've seen other people do it, could have easily fucked him up, but they like kind of slowly fed him to us until he was, everybody was like, oh yeah, this guy rules. Ogogo, a guy you could also fuck up pretty easily, I think. I can think of another company that would fuck up Ogogo pretty easily, but they don't seem to be like hitting us over the head with him yet. Now they run the danger of doing it when they partner him with Cody, who wants to bash you over the head with everything. But so far they're doing a great job, so I'm excited about Ogogo going forward. Oh God.
I don't endorse that joke, and I doubly do not endorse you immediately laughing at your own joke.
It was more of I was pitying myself, honestly. I was like, what a pathetic piece of shit, basically.
Okay, well, now you're overdoing it.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool. I do, in WWE they'd have this guy doing forward rolls in the Performance Center for 5 years, then he would wrestle just like everyone else. I don't want him to ever wrestle just like everybody else. I want him to go out there and be a boxer that happens to be in a wrestling match. Like that's important to me for how they treat Anthony Ogogo.
If he ever does a cravat, then they fucked up.
Ogogo, is one of the good, like, kind of newish people on the show, and my elite pick is also some of the newer talent on the show, and that's the Varsity Blondes, baby. Let it be known that I bought Brian Pillman Jr. stock at its lowest, at its very lowest. It was like where Doge is today when I bought Brian Pillman Jr. And coming off, not just off of the dark side of the ring, I bought it way before that, and my contention has always been, and the real Discord heads can back me up on this, that Brian Pillman Jr. is an excellent white meat babyface. Like, if he doesn't have to try to, like, characterize really anything, he can just be like a dumb guy who wrestles, and like you like him because of that. Then he's really good at that. He's proven that here. They had a good match. They had a really good promo, I thought. I don't think of Pillman as a promo guy, but he had a good promo. So did Griff Garrison. The Julia Hart thing is a nice addition to the act. They delivered in their main event match with the Young Bucks. Of course, delivering with the Young Bucks isn't too hard, but they look good. Griff Garrison looked good. It's all good. I'm just happy for the Varsity Blondes.
Yeah, I was happy with this also. I think I said this on Twitter, but WWE, when they have people that are like featured in other media, or it's like, wow, fucking Rusev is guest starring on Star Trek Voyager. Like, first of all, they wouldn't let him do that because they'd be like, no, you have to give us all of your money from that in order to do that. But then they wouldn't capitalize on it. Somebody would be in the news in a big way. Chris Masters will have ripped the tree out of the ground to save his mother, and they won't like use that to the advantage and push the guy. Whereas AEW is like, hey, this guy's dad is in the discourse, has been on this documentary series. Like, let's take advantage of that. Let's put this guy foremost in people's minds right now. Let's give him a nice babyface promo at the top of the show. And I just appreciate it. It doesn't have to be that they're pushing him to the tag titles or anything. It's just like, hey, let's feature this guy and, give you a reason to like him. And then he loses to the big vicious heels at the end, and that makes you dislike the heels more. And yeah, Brian Pillman Jr. has come a long way. He was in the worst wrestling match that I've ever seen in person when he wrestled Tommy Dreamer at MLW. Absolutely physically painful and grueling match to sit through. And at that point, I was saying I would never buy Brian Pillman Jr. stock. He was probably also tweeting some stupid bullshit at the time around then as well. But yeah, has come a long way since then. I always thought he had a great look and has a great presence and, unique sense about him. He doesn't seem like he's just doing his dad or just doing his brother like Hot Young Briley. Like he's, sort of got a good evolution of what that would be maybe, or a reaction to his father's time in wrestling more than just trying to be a carbon copy of it. So yeah, I was happy with this, happy with the match.
The match was such like a cool match because now we're getting to see the Bucks in this phase where they basically were like a touring champion team or touring champion coming into a territory and facing like the young up-and-comer like white meat baby faces, and they just had the 2021 edition of that match, and I thought it was really good, and I thought like it really used the strengths of Garrison and Pillman Jr. in the right way. I thought that Julia Hart has been such like a interesting addition to this group. Like she was someone that was originally trained by Mr. Anderson, then ended up going to the Nightmare Factory, was probably one of the best was one of like the two best performers on the Nightmare Factory Produce show, and then now is like a part of an established AEW like fun mid-card act. And Aaron, I know that you watch a lot more Dark and Elevation than Nate does, unless Nate sneakily is watching every show and is just not telling us. What are your thoughts of Julia Hart so far? Because I feel like that it's like a very interesting addition and like just kind of came out of nowhere, but it really kind of worked immediately.
Yeah, so I don't think I've seen Julia Hart on Dark.
I thought that I pointed out, like, check out Julia Hart, and I thought that you'd listen to my
I know,
opinions.
but I've not been on. I've not been.
That's true.
On Light the past 2 weeks, and so because of work, and so when I can't do it, I'm just like, oh, two free hours. I don't have to watch Dark, so I just didn't watch.
4 hours this week.
Yeah, so I just saved myself that time.
I really like them. So the concept is funny. The varsity, like they're like varsity athlete kind of guys, good looking blondes or whatever. And I like during the promo with like, she's a 2-time national champion, or she's a national champion. She puts up 2 fingers. She's like, no, I'm a two-time national champion, which I'm sure is for cheerleading, which is just a really funny thing to brag about in a professional wrestling context. Like, yeah, I'm a national champion. It's cheerleading, and now I'm gonna do combat. And I think it's a very funny and good addition.
I think they should get more cheerleaders, I think, in wrestling.
Hey, you know, the fucking gymnastics shit that they do and the throws and the catches is all pretty correlated with wrestling.
Yeah, a lot of strength involved.
Yeah.
If you think you know who might be the next champion of, say, basketball, hockey, I think is also having playoffs, head over to mybookie.ag. Baseball and basketball seasons are long, and with up to 400 potential matches a month, you can make each and every one matter by having skin in the game at MyBookie. You just want to use the promo code ELITE when you sign up, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. So whatever kind of wager you want to place, MyBookie is going to give you the best odds, tons of option to make sure that your favorite sport is a lot more exciting. You can bet on basketball. You can look at the odds on any of these play-in games, which are still going on in the NBA. Whenever you guys are talking, I'm checking out what's going on in Lakers Warriors over here. They also have blackjack tournaments. You just want to use the promo code ELITE, that's ELITE, and get that free deposit bonus. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
So one of our favorite things that we've bet on, AB, has been F1. And it's been something that we almost both, like, we almost took a rocket ship to the moon last year. But Nate, we want to engage you with this, so we prepared a quick little game for Nate, because this week is the Monaco Grand Prix. It is one of like the big historical races on the calendar, and Nate, as someone who kind of zones out during F1 talk, we have a game for you.
Mike says kind of zones out during F1 talk. What actually happened is Mike started talking about F1 and I left the room.
He was gone.
And I had wireless headphones on, so I was 2 rooms away. And Mike says, Nate, I am talking to you now. And now I'm going to engage you, and I'm going to ask you a question in 5 seconds.
All right. So Nate, quick game. We have 3 questions on here. I'm going to give you 2 real locations of an F1 race and 1 fake one.
Okay, so this is some 5-star match game bullshit, because I failed at this category on that game show. So now you're putting the screws to me.
All right, so we were going to use Monaco, but I feel like Monaco Grand Prix is kind of like well known.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, you've heard of that one. So here's the first one: Singapore, Azerbaijan, or San Marino. Which one's the fake?
Azerbaijan.
San Marino.
You were talking about San Marino recently, right? And that's why it's in my head. You were talking about microstates. I swear to God. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I was that must be Mike. Must have F1 on the brain.
Yeah.
You double crossed me again.
Yeah. All right. So Australia, Abu Dhabi, or New Zealand?
Abu Dhabi is definitely one. That's easy. Australia seems like the obvious answer, but I'm going to go Australia.
Oh, so close.
New Zealand is the fake
one.
One.
Fuck. Is that the one that's fake? So, yeah,
yes,
that is what I meant. Whatever. I'll take the L.
Okay. All right. So the last one you get on the board here: Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, or Qatar.
Was there something about Woke King Lewis Hamilton in Saudi Arabia? Maybe. I'm going to say Bahrain is fake.
Wow, Nate.
0 for
0
3
for 3.
Qatar.
That's sad. That's sad.
Okay, I'm going to leave the room again. I was happy outside the room in the first place.
All right, just make sure that if you want to bet on F1 or anything else, you go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code ELITE to get that bonus match up to $1,000. Our listener elite of the week comes from Rawl. Rawl is online on Twitter. No, that's not true. He's the listener delete. That's a little tease, baby. This is from patron Table, who said this tweet, and it's a tweet from the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, and it simply says, "We shall see who goes to meet JC first."
The Murder Hawk Monster tweets, Christian stuff all the time, and it always puts a smile on my face. It's like, hey, I'm out of here, you crazy knuckleheads. Got to go say my prayers and go to bed. It's like, okay, thanks, Murder Hawk Monster.
It's so good. Minoru Suzuki has remarked, been like, "Oh, he is a devout Christian." Like when he was like doing those Ken Puro packs, and he got a Lance Archer, and was like, that was the first thought that came to mind was, "Oh, he's a huge Christian."
You think Lance Archer tried to evangelize to the Suzuki goon?
Probably.
Almost certainly, right?
Probably. They have some neat looking churches in Japan. Be like, hey, check this out.
All right, well, I've already done my delete, but we'll get the other deletes. Nate, what was your least favorite thing from this week's episode?
Shoot. What else was on the show? Remind me.
Well, there was a segment with the Pinnacle backstage.
Okay, I like that. So that's out.
There was
even the fucking Inner Circle one was like not great, but felt like a reaction to last week and be like, that was a nice diversion. But anyway, let's get back to being serious.
There wasn't a lot of like really bad stuff. There was just stuff that I didn't care about.
No, I kind of liked everything. I can't delete the bad sound mixing again because I've done that 3 or 4 times, I think.
You don't have to delete anything. Now you can just
don't
say no.
I feel like I've deleted something every time we've had a delete segment. I don't think we've ever done a pass. That feels like the coward's way out.
I mean, that's true. That would make you a coward, but I'm just giving you the option.
Well, I can. I mean,
do you want me to come back to you, Nate?
There's a low point or a thing that I'm least interested in, but I gave the whole roster amnesty, so I can't just go back right to Ethan Page. That doesn't seem fair. Have to give him a good old college try here.
Okay, I don't have to do that. I can go for you, Nate.
Okay, there you go. Although you're not helping me if you just name Ethan Page, because then that doesn't give me any new ideas.
That was going to be mine just with all of that. I think that pretty much the thing that kind of got me was I really liked the idea of Mark Sterling and like this with Jade and like try and be like, hey, I work for you. I'm not going to be like another manager here, but I'm ready to see with Jade Cargill with how they've been very particular. Like we talk about Anthony Ogogo, someone that they've been very careful with, and Jade Cargill is someone that generally they've done the same as well. But this whole like who's going to manage her thing is kind of just like, I enjoy Mark Sterling. I thought that Mark Sterling, whenever he's been on air, has been very solid. I'm just ready for the next step in this thing where it's been now at least 3 weeks of Jade Cargill does not want a manager because she's her own woman, and it's like a different like aspect in it. And we all know how this is going to end. Like she's going to pull someone completely like not on the roster as her manager, and it's just like, all right, like this is solid, but it's an issue with the promotion sometimes where they just like repeating the same beat, the same segment in a lot of ways week after week, and that was what I felt like was, other than like Inner Circle, Pinnacle stuff, I felt like this was kind of like the very egregious thing that I was ready to see what the next step is.
I don't know. I thought Mark Sterling to me in this did the best part of any of this story was basically Mark Sterling coming in here and be like, I'm going to make sense of all of this.
He's been good.
I'm going to work for you. You know, you're not going to pay me or whatever. Like you can retcon that as the guy who's trying to get his way into this company. Talking about, oh, it's not going to be Team Taz, it's going to be Team Jade. I thought that was all an improvement on what this storyline has been so far, because the rest of the storyline has not made a lick of sense. So I am like getting negative on that story, but this segment was like the first thing. It's like, okay, they could turn this around and course correct this.
I'm also going to delete Nate for claiming that things aren't repeated on Dynamite when we spent like months complaining about the Sting and Darby thing being repeated. We're constantly complaining about them repeating things.
I'm not disputing that happened. I'm talking about recently. There's not any, you have to repeat things on some level, because not repeat, but iterate. You want to, move things along slowly. You want to get characters across. You want to, you can't shoot the angle and have everything happen in one segment at a time. If Mark Sterling is trying to get her, trying to convince her, trying to persuade her to come over to his team, and he just goes out there and says, hey, you should be with me, and she says yes, that's not a story. Like, the whole point is that he's trying to persuade her and woo her, and it's going to take some time, and then maybe it'll be successful, maybe not, maybe then she moves on to the next person. So that doesn't bother me. This was an improvement on what those segments have been so far. I'll delete. Here's my delete. It's not part of the show. I'm deleting the idea that because two really good women wrestlers go out and have a good wrestling match, that means the division is handled well. Like, especially when you have no fucking story, like Serena Deeb and Red Velvet. Like, like, oh wow, what a great women's division. We just fucking had two really good wrestlers go out and have a match. That's not really the same as having a great division or it being booked well. All right, that's all.
Yeah, hard agree. I didn't see that discourse. I try to avoid discourse before we record. But yeah, that sucks. It really, I thought, was more of a point that the division is bad, in that it's like, oh, here's what we got, is an NWA title match that had no build.
Yeah, even then, like, I'm positive on that, because it was a great match, and because it was the second women's match and segment on the show. So they had an earlier match with story and stakes and characters that we've been following for a long time. So everything on top of that, to me, was gravy. But the idea that because Red Velvet and Serena Deeb, go out and have a great match suddenly means that it's all been handled well, or that, this is somehow the doing of the creative, or, the production or the booking or anything like that, is just not the case. It's just, that's the fault of the wrestlers. And they're doing it all on their own at that point.
There are people who are just obsessed with saying that, the wokes are wrong for saying that the women's division is bad. So they will defend literally any fucking thing Tony Khan throws out there that involves women. So I don't think it really matters what it is. But yeah, obviously I agree with you. All right, listener delete. As teased earlier, Rawl is online, bringing the listener delete. He says, Cody is a giant jabroni loser with the flag. Even Ogogo comes off better doing UK patriotism.
Yeah, that is the advantage of this angle, is maybe the one country that can say fucking less to anybody about being a good place or a quality state is the UK. So thank God they have that, in the heels quiver in this story. But yeah, fucking, oh, Cody, I love America so much. I'm just gonna start carrying a flag around all the time. That makes you a lunatic, number one. And number two, I don't know if you know this, Cody, you work in professional wrestling. You're gonna bring a flag to the ring, like 9 times out of 10, it's gonna get spit on, or your opponent's gonna blow their nose in it, or they're gonna burn it or whatever, or threaten to burn it. And he fucking carries this thing in the ring and puts it up in the corner, like, okay, I don't need this. I'm gonna go over here and turn my back to my opponent. I know this is all classic pro wrestling stuff. This is, oh, what a dastardly heel. He took the flag from the, America loving babyface. But it's not fucking 1945 or whatever. I don't know. Is that when Dusty was alive? Fucking 32. It's not any of those times. And then Ogogo like throws it, and Cody literally does like a little hop and like reaches for it like he's a child, and they're playing keep away, and he's like the 2 foot tall child, and somebody took his hat and is throwing it to their friend. And that's what Cody looked like.
That was the most pathetic part. It really made Cody look sad, I thought.
And it's something that, like, the way that Ogogo has portrayed this, especially like in his tweets and with like the comments he's done, it's just very hard that like that's you're going with like the white meat, blue eye baby face. Like, I have to protect America. Like it's like not showing like any cognizance really like this week like about like this weird nationalistic feud.
Here's the
Instead of
thing.
like doing like a feud of, hey, I trained you and you turned on me because you defected with QT Marshall. And you completely murdered everyone in our unit. You didn't need to bring this in there to begin with.
Yeah,
It
no,
was good.
they skipped over all that. He got over the fact that his best friend betrayed him and stole his training complex and, laid him out and turned on his brother and laid his brother out and made them all bleed buckets and all this shit. He got over that in like 2 days. Because what he's actually mad about is the fact that the guy's fucking British. What's really sad about it is Cody has a perfectly good country that he could go out there and be nationalistic for, and it would drive people fucking wild with happiness. He could go out there and be like, hey, Cuba has a fucking lung cancer vaccine. Cuba is solving all the world's fucking ills. I love Cuba. And then he'd be the biggest babyface in the world.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Are you thinking more about how to tighten up your budget these days? Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed in 2020. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations.
Hard agree. Stan Castro. Okay, that's Elite or Delete. Time to run down the rest of the show. Kicked off with Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal. Christian won with the kill switch. After the match, Taz and Christian are jawing. Ricky Starks came out. There's been, I don't think even rumors. I think Ricky has acknowledged that he's injured. But he says, no matter what you've heard or seen, I'm not going to be on the sidelines. Team Taz attacks from behind. Adam Page comes out, hands Ricky his drink, tries to make the save, almost succeeds, but Hook ultimately gives Team Taz the advantage, and Cage gives Adam Page a big power bomb, leading to their match on Double or Nothing.
Yeah, this was a good match. I don't want to say that they do the same thing over and over again because I already said that wasn't a problem. but Team Taz does do this shit a lot, and Team Taz did do this shit a lot in the Darby angle, where one guy's talking and the other guys attack from behind or whatever. This was maybe just a flat opening to the show because you knew it would be a great match in which Christian wins and it doesn't really matter beyond that. And then you knew what would happen in the angle afterward. I guess the little twist is that Adam Page, came out and did a babyface thing, but just a little bit rote, a little bit flat to start your show.
The match was a gentleman's 3 match. Like, it was, I enjoyed this a lot more than the Kaz match. I felt like that Sydal really kind of like brought an urgency to the match that really needed something just because of how Christian has been in this promotion so far. And Ricky Starks coming out just wearing a suit, no shirt, and slippers, and just completely owning, like, when he comes back, like, he's a star, like he's a guy, like he's gonna be one of the people coming off like a big star in this promotion. It's just very clear with like how he just presents himself, and that was like my big positive takeaway. Was like, yeah, what I've been saying about Ricky Starks, maybe I shouldn't have said like, oh, he's gonna be really good in this promotion. Maybe we should be talking about Ricky Starks as a future TNT or world champion.
What this might have improved it, which is they already had Taz out there. And I feel like we've seen a dozen times where Taz is on commentary and he stands up and it's kind of a distraction. And then the Team Taz guys attack somebody, right? So maybe the improvement to this is that's what Taz starts to do. What the babyfaces think they see it coming, but it's actually Ricky Starks, and Ricky Starks is the double diversion. And then the other guys attack him back. That's kind of like halfway what this was. But maybe it's just like the limitations of Daly's Place or whatever that they couldn't lay that out. But then it at least would have seemed like an escalation or a step forward from the Team Taz attacks guys from behind sort of thing.
Then we had a Varsity Blondes pre-tape. Brian Pillman said most people think he got into wrestling because of his dad, but his dad is actually the reason he stayed away from wrestling. And it was the Young Bucks who showed him that wrestling wasn't so scary. And then Griff Garrison says that he ran merch for the Young Bucks once and they were nice, but now they're mean to him. Good setup for the match. We had a Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston pre-tape, which was pretty funny and had a hard cut in it. So they either said something insane or fucked it up. But it was funny. Basically, they said we have to beef up our record because Tony Khan is into analytics. So they're going to beat the brakes off of the Acclaimed.
I do. JR kept putting this over, but I like the dynamic between Kingston and Moxley where they don't exactly get along. Like Eddie is kind of frustrated with Moxley a lot of the time. And you kind of get that energy from them. I kind of think that Eddie just outshines Moxley in these though. And that's kind of like the hard cut to me is kind of like, oh, Moxley, like, just wasn't quite operating at the same frequency as Eddie on this. That's kind of what I projected onto it. But yeah, this act fucking rocks. It's like a fucking miracle that this exists in pro wrestling. Like we didn't imagine natural sort of pairings, like natural odd couple pairings. Does that make sense? Probably not. But
no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't really imagine this rapport on WWE TV, and
right,
2 to 20 years ago. In that range. This for so long in wrestling, it was like, no, you have to filter all of your limitations and all of your hopes and dreams and wishes in wrestling through Vince McMahon's demented mind and these fake limitations that he puts on it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, actually you don't have to do any of that at all. We can just have normal pro wrestling now. And yeah, it's good to appreciate that from time to time.
Yeah, and it's something where it's like a very easy chemistry that doesn't feel forced between the two of them. Like it feels like there's a lot of genuineness there. And then, I mean, you really compare and contrast that with like the Acclaimed, and really like I think like I talked earlier about like the perfect squash match. The Acclaimed are so good at what they do. They've managed to figure out how to be this kind of tag team. And it's a tag team that I think is very useful in this promotion, and especially like when you include in the intangibles like Max Caster's raps and then the music videos and all of that. I think that this has like a really nice economy going into the match they had.
Yeah, the Acclaimed fucking rock. They had another pre-tape, and I almost was like, oh man, they should play the rap from Dark because that was so good. Like, how can they not put that? But then it's like, oh no, actually the Acclaimed just have another good promo, and you can't play all the good fucking punchlines that they do. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't be higher on Max Caster in particular.
And then Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston beat the Acclaimed. Mox and Eddie won. Is it called the Violent Crown?
Yes, that is the move name, the Violet Crown.
It's fucking dumb. It's like Mox or Eddie holds the guy up so Mox can just do a paradigm shift.
And well, it's funnier if you break down the etymology of it, which is that Mox is unscripted violence and Eddie is the king. So they literally just took half of their little nicknames and like, what if we put these guys? It's basically Benifer, but as a fucking wrestling maneuver. So that's funny. Yeah, this was a really good match. This was a really good, like superstar team versus established tag team who you want to protect, you don't want to kill, but they also have to make way for the fucking superstar team. Just really, really asserted themselves well, and delivered on making you want to see Eddie and Moxley get a shot at the Young Bucks.
Yeah, and like that's the thing about the Acclaimed are so good, they've mastered their act. Like they're such a great heel tag team that can eat shit in a match like this. I've said shit a lot tonight. I apologize, but can basically like talk a big game and then be defeated by the triumphant baby faces, and they're just going to like put out like another music video, and they're going to get all their heat back. It's like a perfect act right now.
Yeah,
and it was like the right thing to do there. And the match and the chemistry they had, it was a whole lot of fun. Like it wasn't a great match, but it was like a fun TV match, and I felt like that it accomplishes its purposes.
Also, just a great example of like the top babyface ace privilege that you get in pro wrestling, which is like everybody else when Max Caster does his raps and has fucking great punchlines about whoever he's wrestling, they just kind of sit in the ring and take it or whatever. But he says it to Moxley and Kingston, and then while Bowens is getting in the ring, it's like, no, actually I'm going to fucking hit you in the face now, and you're going to sell it like a clown. And that's just, in an arena, that would have been a huge fucking pop.
Scorpio Sky. No, that's not right. Chris Jericho is with Dean Malenko. Alex Marvez shows up. Asked him if the Inner Circle is going to accept the Pinnacle's challenge. And Jericho says everyone will have to wait. This is what I really fucking hated, is the Inner Circle challenged the Pinnacle to a match. They said, hey, we want to have a rematch. They goaded MJF into saying, okay, and it's going to be a stadium stampede. And then they did this whole dumb shit on this episode so that they could build up to a speaking segment. And it's like, no, you challenged them to a match, and they said, yes, it's over.
So I really like the idea of this, but they did not do the groundwork to make it make perfect sense. Obviously, they want the match. They needed to put the emphasis on, are we going to accept the stipulation that if they win this match, then we have to break up? If that had been, Marvez saying, are you going to accept this stipulation where you have to break up the unit now, this unit that's been together since the beginning of AEW, blah, blah, blah. I thought that was the heart of their promo later, and part of why that was good is like, no, that's good. They put some stakes, they put some importance. They told us why all these characters would care about breaking up and why these stakes matter to them and all this shit. But yeah, they didn't have Marvez make that explicit where it's like, obviously you want to beat these guys' asses, but are you willing to put the inner circle on the line for it? They should have underlined that 3 times.
Yeah, that's fair. What they did instead was ask if they were going to accept their challenge when they were the ones who challenged the other team. So
yeah.
Weird. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page were in the ring with Tony Schiavone. Scorpio said he used to like Sting, but now Sting's old. Ethan Page said he's going to be the nail in Darby's coffin. Sting's music hits. He and Darby come out. They brawl. Sting and Darby get the better of them. They're trying to bail, but the Dark Order blocks their way, and they have to exit a different way.
So that is a sort of like, double turn where it's like, oh no, it's not just going to be the same attack and runaway. This time the Dark Order are going to cut them off. But yeah, then they just ran off through the wide open empty sideway that they enter through half the time anyway. Okay.
Here was the Pinnacle pre-tape that we talked about. Then Hikaru Shida defeated Rebel with a stretch muffler, and after the match, Britt attacked Shida, of course, leading to their match at Double or Nothing.
I love Rebel.
Yeah.
Whoa, everybody's saying Rebel.
Yeah, I mean, how can't you talk
Rebel,
about
Rebel?
like, again, Rebel, like talking about people who are just excellent at what they do. Like this was another really like amusing and well done squash where like the moment where Rebel broke her crutch on Sheeta's back and Sheeta like winced and went like, okay, I'm done with this, was just like a really great moment. And I feel like that this was something that they did a good step towards pay-per-view here with this match.
I just remembered Rebel, behind the referee's back doing like jumping jacks and be like, I'm not injured at all, and just started laughing to myself. Yeah, it was great.
Orange Cassidy was backstage with Dr. Sampson. I put that in quotes, in air quotes, if anybody was wondering.
Television doctor.
Yes. Kenny and Don Callis are there to see him. They run off Chris Statton, the best friends. They offer him a contract where he gets out of the match at Double or Nothing because he's injured and gets to wrestle Kenny later. Orange very slowly tears up the contract. They threaten him, and then they have a second version of the contract, which honestly made me laugh. It's like, yeah, we knew you'd probably do that, so we brought another one. That was fun.
Yeah, that amused me greatly. I thought this also made me appreciate like, oh, it's really nice to have a pro wrestling promotion that will take things that happen that are unplanned or happen in the course of a story or, happen due to reaction from the crowd or whatever, and just like integrate that into it. So this was a really good heel Kenny, attempt to manipulate Orange Cassidy, and he's, being the valiant babyface there and everything. And I was just like, yeah, okay, I like this dynamic. This doesn't make me like the Cracker Barrel Clash of the pay-per-view anymore, but this was a well-executed segment.
Inner Circle comes out. They're all talking about whether they want to accept the challenge. And Chris Jericho says Blood and Guts was very hard on him. And basically, they hurt him so bad that now he's motivated to hurt them in the Stadium Stampede. So they accept.
Can you imagine how much better this promo would be if they hadn't done the fucking champagne bath shit last week? This does not fit in with the rest of this program at all. Or this does. This fits in with the backstage attack that was so violent. This fits in with the super violent cage match. This fits in with all that shit. It does not fit in with the fucking champagne spray. Like, why did they do that?
I'm just wondering why no one has sprung Santana at this point. Like,
yeah, Tony needs to bail him out at this point. And now you're being negligent.
I mean, Jericho, you have all this money and you talk about your champagne all the time. Mark Sterling is at the building. Like, come on. Like you talk about Inner Circle being a family. I mean, you're not looking out for your family there.
And look, COVID's still a problem in jails around the
Yeah.
country. So that would be that'd be a concern for me. I don't know if Santana's vaccinated or not, so hard to say. Then we had the Jade segment that we've talked about, and then the NWA Women's World Title. Serena Deeb defeated Red Velvet with the Serenity Lock.
Good match.
Good match.
I thought.
Did you guys know this? I think, Mike, you also saw this in the Discord. Thoros pointed out that Red Velvet's gear that she wears to the ring is intended to look like an apron.
I did not notice that until Thoris brought it up. I thought that she was a big Mortal Kombat fan.
I didn't definitely had not noticed that. I was not in the Discord. I was thinking about, so she's announced from your mama's kitchen or whatever, which I was like, okay, that's her thing, is that she's like cook. She does her little taunt where she's like, I'm stirring a bowl. And I was like, is that cool? I was like, that just seems kind of goofy. But now it's like, I guess her whole shit is that she cooks.
That's like a thing. I mean, it's a little passe at this point, but like,
yeah,
cooking, that's like a thing.
Yeah, for I know they would, NBA players do it and shit. But yeah, it seems like it was passe. But then I was also like, it's honestly wrestling. It doesn't matter what you do if you repeat it enough. Like, just doing it, the gym pop will be like, hey, I know that reference and I can do it along with you. Stir my bowl. So that's basically where I came out on it. But now that it's been revealed that she basically has a cook gimmick and she's named after cake, I have to reassess the whole thing. I have to think about this.
All right. Well, let us know.
You need to report back to us. But this match rocked. Whenever Red Velvet's been given an opportunity, she has knocked it out of the park here. And, other than like the weirdness about the NWA Women's World Title that we talked about earlier, solid match.
Next up, Pac was backstage with Alex Marvez. He says he's tired of getting robbed of opportunities in this company. Everybody saw what they tried to do to him last week, but now he has his match, and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Good promo. It's frustrating because all these guys are great performers. They're going to do great build and have great promos and shit, and it's just to a match that I fundamentally am not, and I'm opposed to. It goes against my vision of pro wrestling to have a Cracker Barrel clash for the world title. Just call me Tanahashi. I'm sorry, call me Tanahashi, but that's just how I feel.
I respect that. Pac rules. Like, he was great here.
Nate Hashi.
Yeah.
All right.
It's me from now on. It's my icon on the Discord.
Yeah.
That's true.
He just wants to feel the best,
And I'm one in a century.
Yeah, exactly. You're high flying talent, and you keep the full throttle.
If there's anything I do, it's keep the full throttle.
Exactly.
If anybody's listening to this podcast, they know Nate's already burned all his energy before the podcast starts. I think it's burned my all energy though.
Burn my all.
Didn't really work.
I thought you were doing a dig there. I didn't realize that Tanahashi has yet another great.
He was doing a dig, I think.
I mean, I wasn't really. I thought of a Tanahashi thing, and I thought, how can I pull this in? And that was my only way to do it.
Okay.
If anyone's lacking energy on this episode,
I was about to say, you want to have an energy? You want to have an energy off right now, buddy?
It's me.
Yeah. I'm impressed with how we're doing, considering that a puppy decided to wake me up 2 hours before he was supposed to get up today. So I think we're all very. This is the loopy edition of EE.
We're doing our best. Anthony Ogogo won by ref stoppage. Then we had SCU with Alex Marvez. Marvez asked Christopher Daniels what the future holds for him. He said nothing. He shook hands with Kaz, said something in Kaz's ear, and left. Kaz said he lost something important to him, and so he's going to hunt down every member of the Elite.
It was a very solid Kaz promo.
We got to bring over Yoshitatsu to team with Kaz.
I did ask for that, and then after I tweeted that, I saw probably 15 other people tweet the same thing, which is like, well, I did tweet this before everyone else, so I am smarter than all of them, but I did also have the same thought as all these other people, so I guess I'm not that smart. That's where I came down on that.
Okay. That's reasonable, I think. Miro came out. He thanked Jesus for making him better than everyone. And then he forgave Darby. I mean, this was a very Christian promo, I thought. Forgave Darby for disrespecting him, but he takes what he wants, issues an open challenge for next Friday. Lance Archer comes out and says he was here when when Miro was trying to have a day to himself. He says, "Now we're both big. I'm going to beat you up." Miro said, "That really freaking hurts, Murder Hawk," which was one of the best line deliveries that I can remember.
It's so good. Miro, like the names he selects for people, Charles, Murder Hawk. He's just great. Like he's always been a star, you know.
Yeah, I love Miro. He's doing like extemporaneous trash talk here. And just like he has these little, I don't know, not even, they're not just little things where his English doesn't match up with like the perfect English or whatever, but it all just totally enhances every part of his promo, just like makes him feel so real and so raw. But also like his energy is just so perfect heel energy that it's I don't know. So many guys would have had a flat fucking promo in this spot, and he like just heightens everything that he's in. We've talked about. I think we talked about. I don't know if it was main show. How like saying "bitch" is like a very WWE thing to be like put an accent point on a promo, and oh, he called me a bitch on WWE. So I appreciated one. Lance Archer did hit the B in bitch extremely hard. So I appreciated that he like gave it his all. But Miro was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't heard that one before," and that made me laugh because he's like, "Yeah, it's fucking WWE shit." Also made me laugh that most guys, like Max Caster, when he insults a guy, is like, "Hey, your wife has a podcast called Oral Sessions. I can make a joke about that." Lance Archer's version of that is like, "You were in WWE and you had a gimmick where you said it's Rusev Day."
And like, it was very popular.
You say, yeah, and how about that for a reference? It's like, Lance, you're missing the part where you slam him here.
Have you guys ever seen Team America World Police?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know I have commented that Tony Khan resonates with wrestling fans because South Park is his major cultural touch point. But Team America, when Miro says that really freaking hurts, Murder Hawk, it really reminded me of Kim Jong-il in Team America when he just says Hans Blix's name over and over again. Just something about the way that he said it made me think of Hans Blix. That's really all. Okay, thanks everyone. Young Bucks.
Well, I was debating whether I wanted to do, "Ooh, Aaron, now the communists are going to come for us because we talk shit about North Korea." But I was like, no, I think I just want to leave it alone.
I was trying to make it a Blix Bix joke, and it just was not coming to me at the Sunday night.
Hans Brixen Spanhausen.
There we go. See, you got it.
There's a report that North Korea has fired nuclear missiles into the ocean, and they cut to Hans Blix, and he's like, "Wait, what?"
Oh fuck, that's very good. I'm not even going to try to riff on it because it was too good. I'm not going to keep going. Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes. Matt Jackson tapped out Brian Pillman in the sharpshooter after lots of shenanigans. After the match, Mox and Eddie came out. They faced off with the Bucks. They attacked, put them to sleep with rear naked chokes, and stole their shoes.
Yeah, I really. So the Bucks were on, I don't know, Sports Nation or something, putting over their Dior Jordans, and I was impressed because it didn't really even factor into me. I didn't even think about this as a possibility. Like, oh, they could fuck with their shoes. I probably should have seen it coming. They even did like a special insert shot of the Bucks shoes when they were making their entrance. Like, hey, now we're going to show their shoes for 5 seconds. But then when they still went for the shoes, I was still delighted. Like, oh, they took their very expensive shoes. It made me happy.
And the socks.
Yeah, it was great. I have to agree. That was Dynamite for this week. If you like our show, you want to support it, the best way to do so is go to patreon.com/everythingelite. Subscribe. We got 3 tiers. We do bonus shows. On this Monday, we did a theme draft where we picked some wrestlers and then we came up with licensed entrance themes for them, played them on the show. No copyright people go looking for that or whatever, though. We didn't actually play them. Yeah. It was interpolations. And they
were interpolations because of the quality.
That's true. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was an absolute blast. And I feel like we're getting to a real moment about Divorce Dad playlists that's coming up. And,
did we get a winner on the Patreon?
Oh, it's
the
still
favorite
going.
theme? Okay.
The poll is still going as voted on by our patrons as I pull it up here. It's a really hotly contested race because there's 15 options, and you know how that goes there. And we did not do ranked choice here. Currently leading with 1 vote ahead of others is Aaron's selection of DMX, What's My Name for Eddie Kingston. Behind.
Don't give too many of them away now. This is paywalled content.
Well, hey, now if they have an opinion about it, then they have to pay to go vote.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's really how it should be across the country. Is you have to pay to vote. Don't you guys think?
Yes, I agree.
To just bringing back the poll tax I see tonight. Okay. But both Nate and I have representatives that are 1 vote away from the Eddie Kingston DMX easy shooting fish in the barrel that Aaron.
What are they? Tell me what they are.
All right, so Nate,
Nate, God damn it.
I want to know, and I can't get on the fucking page.
All right, so Nate, Anthony Ogogo, Sean
nice.
Biggs featuring Topic and Akon, Never Gonna Get It is 1 vote behind.
That's
Aaron.
a great pick by me. And when Anthony Ogogo entered on tonight's Dynamite, I was like, his music just is not as good as my selection.
Never gonna get it.
Aaron,
that's what I thought it was gonna be when you told me that was the name of the song.
Yeah, Aaron, your selection of Luther with Corn's Twist is 1 vote behind, and my selection of QT Marshall having Fuel Hemorrhage in My Hands is 1 vote behind.
In my hands. This actually led to me playing. I found a Divorced Dad playlist on Spotify.
It's good.
Played it all night while I made dinner, and Sarah and I just fucking jammed out to the shittiest songs of the mid 2000s.
I think you're kind of missing the point of a Divorced Dad playlist by doing that with your wife.
Yeah, well, we can enjoy it together. That's why I have to use other people's Divorced Dad playlists. That's right. I just flexed on all the divorced people out there.
Yikes.
I know. Getting canceled for that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Go subscribe to our Patreon. We got a Discord. We'll do some retrospective content for Double or Nothing next week. We'll do a live instant reaction soon thereafter. I don't know what we're going to do for Dynamite next week because it's on Friday night. I don't know.
I didn't realize that it was a live episode of Dynamite, but I guess it's an NBA preemption. I thought that originally that was another house show, but apparently they're just doing the TV there, which, hey, interesting card.
So I can't really tell you what the show's going to be next week, but we'll let you'll find out at some point, I'm sure. Next week on Dynamite, they're going to do the TNT title, Miro versus Dante Martin, Joey Janela versus Hangman Page, Anthony Ogogo and Cody Rhodes will have a weigh-in, Jade Cargill Open Challenge, a celebration of the Inner Circle. How fucking long is this show? Evil Uno and Stu Grayson versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Darby Allin versus Cesar Bononi. They're going to honor Hikaru Shida's 1-year anniversary of being women's champion. And Orange Cassidy is going to respond to Kenny Omega and Don Callis.
They're honoring both Hikaru Shida's title reign and the Inner Circle existing. That's
yes.
Yeah, those are equally.
Well, no, and both of those things have a probable likelihood of ending at the pay-per-view. Makes you wonder. I think they're probably, trying to swerve us on one of them or the other. They got to get this guy. What's his name? Ezra
Judge.
They got to get this guy. Just replace Cesar Bononi with this Ezra Judge guy as far as performance center washouts. I'm calling for it.
I do not want to infuriate the Bone Zone, so I'm leaving Nate hanging there.
I hope they bring Ezra Judge in so I can pick some songs off of Chung King Can Suck It for his entrance music. That joke is only for Chelsea, probably, and if K-Slow's listening.
I mean, that's obviously a better than Ezra joke.
No, it's not.
Fuck!
It's a joke of the band Judge, the 80s New York hardcore band Judge.
Oh.
Okay.
That's your first? Okay.
Yeah, that's my first thing. Double or Nothing, May 30th. They've announced apparently the full card. Women's World Title, Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo. For the Men's World Title, Kenny Omega versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Sting and Darby versus Scorpio Ethan Page. We are told this is not a cinematic match, Tony Schiavone told us live on Dynamite. For the tag titles, Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. The Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. The TNT Championship, Miro versus Lance Archer. And the Casino Battle Royale, special guest commentator, Paul White, special Joker, Nick Gage. And this card looks really long, and I'm hanging out with friends for the first time in a long time to watch it, and I'm like, this is going to be 4 hours long.
I might go to a movie theater.
You're thinking about doing the Cinemark thing?
Yeah, I mean, my friend invited me to do it last time, and I wasn't like confident about it. So I was like, oh, I got a podcast right after, so maybe I shouldn't do that. We can just watch it at my place. But it's kind of tempting. It is all kind of like, I don't know what the scene's going to be like. I don't know what the other AEW fans at the movie theater are going to be like.
That might be fun though.
Yeah.
Might be fun.
Are you going to join us midway?
Oh, for the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Or you could call me on my drive back, and then I could dial in like I'm
That'd be so funny.
live on the scene.
We do have that capability. So
I'll put you on my car Bluetooth so I really sound awful.
All right, I like that. You'll have Blackpink playing in the background as you talk.
Yes.
That's just what I remember from the last time I was in your car, Nate, was listening to Blackpink on the way to a Blackpink concert.
Well, no, and then on the way back we listened to Red Velvet.
Not fresh out your mama's kitchen.
No.
Okay, well, we'll do a Double or Nothing preview on the Patreon when we do the retrospective of last year. So sign up for that. You're going to want to sign up anyway because you want to hear the live instant reaction show. So sign up now so you get the preview and retrospective first. You get the live instant reaction. You get all the other stuff we do. We do lots of stuff. So go check us out, patreon.com/everythingelite. Follow us on Twitter at Everything AEW. I'm at Aaron Like the Car. Nate's at Epitasis. Mike's at Fuji Heya. Subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Do our Patreon and use the promo code ELITE over at mybookie.ag. I think that's it. So we'll be back to do something next week. I'm just not sure what it is. For Mike, for Nate, I'm Aaron. We'll see you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Are you thinking more about how to tighten up your budget these days? Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed in 2020. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations.
Nobody builds 5G like Verizon builds 5G, because we're the engineers who built the most reliable network in America. And the more you do with 5G, the more building it right matters. The more your network matters. The more Verizon engineers going the extra mile matters. It's us pushing us. It's Verizon versus Verizon. 5G built right from America's most reliable network. Most reliable based on rankings from RootMetrics second half 2020 U.S. report of 3 mobile networks. Results may vary. Award is not an endorsement.